Yes, I actually thought that Texas was ahead. But again, consular services are very important. You need a stamp on your passport. You don't have to go to Washington. You have to go to New York or to Carolina. It can be done here because Texas is also one of the biggest states in the United States, isn't it? And one of the biggest economies in the United States. So my thinking, and if I were to be given the opportunity to advise, I would say that probably Texas needs to have that consulate because it is only 2.5 hours from Minnesota to here, and it's more central. Everybody can reach here in less than 3 hours, isn't it? So this is me. If I were allowed to advise government on this, I would say this state requires. But again, if you are bringing a consulate, you know you have to employ people. There are a lot of things a lot of resources that will go into it. But you also don't want to keep the numbers static, and you only depend on how many children you have here. What I'm saying is probably we need to bring in more people from Kenya to come here to explore and look at the opportunities that are here and get jobs. You know, we have a problem of joblessness. I was talking to the senator for the state senator for Minnesota. Is called Mohamed Noor. He has his roots in Mombasa. He's a guy from Kenya, and he said the unemployment rate in Minnesota is -2%. I this didn't sink. -2% unemployment rate. Then asked, so you must be having a deficit of very many cadres of people that you can say, yes. For example, the health sector will require around 60,000 people. And the Philippines have taken advantage of it. And the Nicaraguans have also taken advantage of it. And many other East Asian countries have taken advantage of it. So he said, but Kenya are slow. You Kenyans are very, very slow. So I looked at myself, and he said, you Kenyans. So I looked at myself and said, am I Kenyans or? So who are these Kenyans? It is us, isn't it? Yeah. We're actually being very slow at grabbing these opportunities. But our people wouldn't know about those opportunities. The people that know about those opportunities are the people that are here. So what are we doing about it? If you ask the old man, really? He left. If you ask him how he ended up here, he'll say, probably somebody invited him. He got an invitation from someone. If I ask here also, how did you end up here? You'll definitely say you didn't just wake up one day and say you're going to Texas. Somebody, somehow here, said, hey, come, there's something we can do here, isn't it? My passion is that we try and work hard to bring more other people. This United States, unfortunately, I was a student here many years ago, but I'm one of those few who could not manage it here. And I went back. I went to school in Penn State many years ago, and I worked in Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, for some time, and then I decided, wow, I can't hack it. Yeah, so I went back. But I think it is important that we invite more people. The resources here are many, the opportunities here are many, and Kenyans are suffering. When I look at the young people in Nairobi or in the coast and other people, joblessness is killing a whole generation. The more jobless a person is, the more into drugs that person is, the more into cheap alcohol that person is. The more they become unproductive in their own country, the more we kill the economy of that region. If I asked you how many of you are paid school fees for children back at home, all of you, then what happens to that investment you're making? It goes out of the drain, isn't it? Yeah, but we can rescue it. We can rescue it by ensuring that we pull more. I promised the senator that I'll speak to the president on ensuring that we bring this thing on health workers training, the exam that must be done in South Africa be done in Nairobi, so that it is much easier for Kenyans to uptake the opportunities, so that they come here. But then there are very many people that are in your villages that do not know about the opportunities here. Before you say, I want to go to South Africa to do this, then you need to understand that the opportunity exists. But that opportunity that exists cannot be understood by the young people there unless somebody tells, hey, look, there's an opportunity here. So what I want to ask of you is, as you stay here and you see many opportunities, please communicate to the other guys. Facilitate to one or two people. Make it easy for people who want to work here to get visas, so that we smoothen the process. Because it's very easy to go to Saudi Arabia. The visa you get in a half a day. But if you want to come here, it's a nightmare. So we need to smoothen the road. So as government, we have something that we need to do. We need to smoothen the road. We make sure that it is easier for somebody to get access to this country. But then somebody needs to help us understand the opportunities that exist in this country. Apart from jobs, I'm sure there are very many opportunities of business. And you know how enterprising our Kenyans are. Kenyans are very enterprising. And it is very easy to bring a Kenyan here and becomes a big business person and makes it in life. But how are we facilitating other people to come here and make it in life and continue to contribute? Because for me, if I see that this is a revenue stream that is making it big time, diaspora remittances, then I want to grow it. I want to grow it from 400 billion to 1 trillion. But how do I get there? The two ways. Government can facilitate people to come here, but Kenyans can also facilitate Kenyans to come, so that we can grow that revenue stream. And the money that you said, because when I was at that meeting in March, there's a young man who made a very good presentation to the president and say, you see, if I am making a remittance, 400 billion, and I come back to my village and the road is the way I left it, I'm sure there's some things you want to say. The road is the same way that I left it. But I look at the lot of money that I brought, because they bring in money here. It goes into, even if a certain percentage would go to my family, but a big percentage of it would go into tax. So government makes that, the money. But then the road is the way it is, towards you left it. The local school performance is still the same as I left it. And buildings have not much. The local hospital is even worse. What is it that we do? What is it? Here's the question. What is it that you do with our taxes? What is it that you do with your taxes? And I want to tell you, as we engage our chief whip here and you engage us, it is our undertaking as government that we want to make better government, not just for you, but for the people that you send your money to, so that they live in a more comfortable area. We grow our democracy, we grow our economy, and government makes sense to people. That is our calling as politicians and as we manage public affairs, is to make lives better, to facilitate that lives of our people become better. So you are right to ask questions, to make noise. I see sometimes, I don't understand Kusi, but when I see Osoro read what you guys write on WhatsApp and I see his face has changed. Najua anashambuliwa, si ndio? Yes, and I see most of the time when he reads from diaspora, he's very sad because you guys tell him the truth. And you know the truth is bitter. Yes, the Kisi people want better services, isn't it? You want better roads, you want better education, you want better facilities for hospital, and it is what every other Kenyan wants, so that you are proud of your country. As you land at JKIA, you've arrived there, you want to go home and you want to send pictures from there and tell your friends here that, look, we are as developed as the other side. But when you see there, it's pathetic. You don't want to send even one picture. You don't want to send even one picture. So what I'm trying to say is, please participate in the democratization of the country, but more so the development of the country. Yes, the more remittances we get, the more taxes we get. And this president, I think, has set a trajectory to want to uplift the lives of the people. Our bottom-up approach to development. We want everybody to have a square meal, to have an education, to have good health care, to have a job, and to have a good life. That is what the William Ruto administration is about. And you can help us achieve that. So I will sit here, we will hear the questions that you have, we will try to answer them. What we cannot answer, we will carry home and see how we can develop the country together. So I want to take this opportunity as I get a little bit harassed behind here. I still have time? Yes. But I also want to take this opportunity to thank you for leaving what you're supposed to do, but to come for this meeting and to interact with us, to hear us out, and also to bring you ideas. I learned that good ideas run a country, but great ideas rule the world, isn't it? Yeah, so probably there's an idea that you have that can help us make Kenya better. Probably this is the opportunity that you can give us that idea. We carry it home, we discuss. Our president is a president that is very open to ideas. Those of you who have interacted with him, and he's very brilliant, very sharp, but more so he's a very good listener. And he would like to hear what is it that Kenyans are thinking, Kenyans abroad are thinking about Kenya, so that we are able to take home. I want to say this lastly. When I interacted with the community in Minnesota, there are two things that I took home with me because of the way they presented the issues. And they told me the good ideas here. For example, I met a guy who works with Prudential Services. Prudential is one of the biggest financial service providers. But he said that they would like to set a call center in Kenya. A call center in Kenya that's likely to employ over 24,000 young people who'll just be operating computers and taking calls and all that. But the only problem that we have, he said, is that our internet is too slow. The taxation is also very, very high. So I promised him that when I get the ear of the president, I'll tell him that, you know, we are losing on many job opportunities and a lot of revenue because our internet is too slow and our taxes are high. So for us to get such a big business coming into the country like Prudential, then we need to do something so that we can create many jobs and also make money from the businesses. So I promised him that this I will take home and I will look for an opportunity, whatever it is, to tell the president, please, if there's a way we can increase the speed of internet, it will help the country, because other people apart from Prudential would want to invest in the country. And if we do that, also we look at the taxation regime. We are going to do the finance bill. You know, Parliament is the budget making house. We're going to do the finance bill, which will look at taxes. And if you have an idea of what taxes you need to be reduced, talk to us about it. Somebody else told us about, you see, today, if I deposit money through Safaricom, I get charged. And also when I withdraw the same money, I get charged. So there's an argument, a whole argument that my friend Osoro will try to explain on that. But I say, okay, even me, if you're a bank and you want my money because when I give you that money, you want to interest on it, yes. So why should you charge me? But you see, government right now, recently, I think in the recent times, if you withdraw money from your account, government also makes some money out of it. I think there's a new law, excise duty law, which we stepped in, and now government is also taxing withdrawals from through M-Pesa. So there are many things that you guys from here, you can help us so that we make it easier for you, so that you can easily send money. You don't, if I use M-Pesa, it is more costly. Let me send the money through this system and then we reduce efficiency. We want to be an efficient government, and we can only be efficient if we are told where we are not efficient as a government. I want to end there and introduce to you a man who the people of South Migirango elected to Parliament for the second time. A man who, once fought the present governor of because of his passion in politics, but also I think one of the very first rising star in Kenyan politics. the one and only Honorable Osoro, who is our I didn't see that coming. Hiyo intro imekuwa mzuri, lakini imefika mahali ikachoma. There are some things that one wishes that they should actually be off the internet, or rather off people's minds. But unfortunately they can't. They make us. Actually, it is the reason why people got to know about me and stuff like that. It was an expression of passion. So I also want to take this opportunity, just as my colleague has said, to associate first myself with the sentiments that he gave, and a short speech or short quality speech that is given. But even as I do that, I also want to introduce myself formally. My name is Osoro. I am the member for South Mugrango constituency. South Mugrango is in Kisii County. Of course, most of us are from Kisii, as I see. And I'm also the majority party chief whip. In another language, I am the government whip. So there is a difference. There is the minority whip, who is the opposition whip. I am the government whip. So the opposition whip gets instruction from a different quarter, and the government whip gets instruction from the president. So that is the difference. So I am actually the link between government business in the House on how they should pass and what the executive wants and how they should be pushed in the National Assembly, and that is what we do. It is still very early for us to wish you guys a Happy New Year. So Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Because the year is still very young. We just, by the grace of God, found ourselves again alive at this point in time, and we really must appreciate God for such an opportunity to be alive. Number two, I know most of us, because I know you are Kenyans, and because this is the Kenyan diaspora, it's important for me to say this, that Kenya is a country with 50 million Kenyans and 50 million politicians. So you're actually politicians. Our sport as a people, and I don't know whether it's Kenya only, but Africa per se, is sports. It's politics. That in a cycle of 3, a discussion can't pass without the mention of politics or anything. So I know you are all politicians, and that is why you are, well acquainted with the fact that there is a regime change in our country. I'm sure you are aware, and if you're not, I need to remind you it's been 4 months. By the way, if you haven't been to Kenya, we have a new president called William Ruto. So there is a possibility that some of us did vote. You are here, and of course the fact that you also do not have a consulate, and this wasn't marked as a center for voting, I presume so, unless I'm guided correctly. Was it? No. Yes, so some of us didn't have an opportunity to vote. I wanted to make a report to you first that we have a regime change. We have a president called William Ruto, and we also have a deputy president called Gavin Gachagua. The comedy. By the way, back at home, we also have a prime cabinet secretary called Musalia Mudavadi. So that is the pecking order as it is. And there are a lot of things that have changed. We have a new police head, Koome Japheth. We've got so many things that have changed across. And when I go, get down to our local politics, we also have Justice Maraka Emeritus chairing a commission, on matter security, the country for reforms of all the security agencies. We've got the geothermal chairman, development chairman, commission chairman, Honorable Walter Nyambati, and so many others. I'm actually informing you that because it is important for you to know that
you are actually Kenya. But comparison, when you do comparison from where you stay and back at home, you'll not only be doing yourself injustice, but also you'll be doing us injustice. Because we are barely less than 100 years post-independence. You are living in a country that has built system over the years, over 200 years in terms of their existence. So even as we raise issues about our governance, about our structure, you also need also to take advantage of your expansive knowledge of this network that you're in, including Texas. You know, a state that is, in terms of landmass, that is 3 times our country. That in itself should tell you that there is no comparison as far as matters progressive is concerned as at now. In our small way, we are trying, but we are not yet there. But I remind you of the reasons why you left your country. You left your country for this place because you did not have opportunities back at home. You know, the inadequacy of land, the inadequacy of jobs. People are grumbling for everything. That situation hasn't changed. In any case, it's actually becoming worse. Most of us who come from Kisii, it is true, some of the things you've seen on social media happening back in our villages. Somebody woke up one morning and decided to gorge, to kill a young boy of 3 years back in the village. And when you follow the story, you realize that, you know, the lady was married to, the mother of that baby was married to some guy in that homestead who has, you know, with a tremendous respect, has a short wire, you know, and they had to have him married there for generational growth, like we always do for ancestral, in our ancestral ties. And the lady came with 2 kids, and now she decided to get married somewhere else in pretense that she's going to work somewhere in Borabu constituency. But that was another marriage. And in the second marriage, she lied to the husband. Is it second or that? She lied to the husband or to the family that she's somewhere working as a house girl, but she was somebody's wife. And she didn't disclose the other party that she's left the kids. So, this other guy who is short wire has a stepbrother. And the stepbrother is illiterate. So the stepbrother has always been thinking, this Kalan, huyu mwenda wazimu, kidogo vile tunangoja aende, hii shamba itabaki yangu. Bahati mbaya wameniletea bibi na watoto wawili, na mmoja ni kijana. So the stepbrother and the mother hatched a plan to do away with the baby. And they decided to go and they hit the baby badly. So the baby passed out, you know, not really dying, passed out, and you know, and although sadly eyes were open as he passed out. So with these movies that people DJ Afro and the other movies, so the illiteracy back at home now made this guy think he Macho is dead, but sadly Macho vile inaniona na watakuja wamulike macho wapate image yangu in the so they decided to go jump. But the manner in which they did is because I saw the baby, the second eye couldn't come in. You know, you can actually pull the lid of this, or you mean the entire ball of this eye hata na spoon yako tu ya nyumba na utoke, but moja ikakataa kutoka, so they started walitoboa hivi. And that is what happened because of the inadequacy of resources back at home and the illiteracy level. It's a very sad situation. And there is a young girl who is 7 years of age. You know, they really messed with her life. They infected her with HIV. And life is that way back in the village. And we've also seen some other stories of a teacher that was killed. The lady hasn't been caught yet. She's still at large. Those are, again, things that I explained to you about the system failure in our country, our system, slow system in our country, and you can't really set that in comparison with where you live in, and so many other things that I would tell you. But why am I giving you this story? So that you understand that the reasons as to why you left your country are the very same reasons that are making people get affected back at home. And we haven't really gone extremely high. we know you may judge us, but I want to beg of you that it's actually been 3 months since we took over as the UDA government. And there are always stages. I know some of us, of course, were not in support of William Samoei Ruto, and that makes democracy. That is democracy. There is nothing wrong to support or not to support, because really, if we sit here, a meal comes here, you'll always have your choice, and I'll have mine. And but now that is what under the bridge. We have a president, and it is our responsibility, all of us, to support that president and that government. And that is what we call patriotism. Patriotism does not really mean that you, opposition doesn't mean that you become a perennial complainant. That over time, you always look for fault and you are holding somewhere in a corner, waiting for your government to fail, for you to prove a point that William Ruto has failed, for you to prove a point. That is not patriotism. It still beats logic why you left your country. That you pray that this government should fail so that you can have bragging rights and say, gentlemen, I told you this guy will fail. So eventually you also fail your country, because at the end of the day, your country is not working very well. By the way, let me report to you that even if you were in the opposition, or rather you were supporting the other camp, of which most of us, of course, had that history from that side. I also want to inform you that over this weekend, His Excellency the President was in Homa Bay, Siaya, and Kisumu. And even without that information, furthering that information, it's important for me also to inform you that he was actually given, was it a bull as a gift by Honorable Gladys Wanga. So, who is more ODM than who? Because if it is Gladys Wanga, if Gladys Wanga do that. And I remember the very first time when William Ruto visited Homa Bay, she couldn't come to attend the church function. That shows that we are growing. We appreciate our democracy, and we become a hub within Africa. That we can always disagree in ideas, but after elections, we join hands and work together and support the government, so that the reasons that brought you back, brought you all the way from your country to this place, a country that is miles away from your home, that you sit in plane flight for so many hours for you to get to this place. A place at times can become so funny. I was telling people in Minnesota that when I was almost landing, for some reason, I heard that there's snow in Minnesota, and it's very cold and everything. But I didn't know it was that serious. So I sat close to the window and I peeped out of my eyes and I could see down. For some reason I got confused. I thought there is a miracle, or rather there is another unique type of soil that is white covering all over until I got out. So anytime we could, because I've been there, I think we've been there for 2 nights, I think so. And we could have a meal, it's quiet, people are enjoying and everything, until you get out. You can't even fold your hand. And I started asking them, what are you guys doing here? In fact, go back home. There's one older man I told. It happened to come from my area in South Mugrango. So nikamwambia, mzee, hii baridi inakusumbua. Toka nenkangu kuleleke tuko mwenye usiye mesio chukana. Because I couldn't understand why the guy is really straining for such. But again, it still boils down to the question as to why we are here. So because of the inadequacy of resources, the situation hasn't changed. Ladies and gentlemen, ours on this setup wasn't extremely official, as one might think here in these sites. We had official engagements in New York and DC, and I think we should be giving a speech somewhere in Washington DC University or something on Thursday, and then we are supposed to be in the Congress somewhere in Delaware. This was in the sidelines of our meeting, at the peripheries of our meeting, official engagement. We felt it twice again to pass by and possibly get to understand how Kenyans are doing abroad, how you guys are living. And I'm very happy that I have met people doing very well. In fact, in Minnesota, I was told in America, hunger can't kill you. It's actually food that will kill you, because there's plenty of it. I now understand sometimes when I see you guys flying back home. You guys, some of you guys are huge. Sometimes you guys come and you look extremely, well bodied, and it explains. I've seen the hospitality that I've seen all through since I came here. We've been with Akina Daffin in New Jersey, New York, and several Kenyans. In fact, in Minnesota, everyone was fighting to host us. I could wake up in my hotel room and find a car down there. We are going for breakfast. I don't remember having breakfast in a hotel. It was very enjoyable, except of course for the snow and the cold and stuff like that. That was shocking. There are positives and negatives. So with that in mind, that you've come all the way to this place for economic value for yourself and for your country, I want to remind you to be patriotic enough again and make sure that in all your engagement, you partner with our government to make sure that we succeed. Honorable Owen has said that you guys, or the diaspora, contributes to about 3% of our GDP, which is about 400 and something billion Kenyan shillings. Again, that is not entirely out of you guys. There is tourism, there are factors that contribute into that. Even as we think through that line, economic value is also realized when you guys think through investing back at home. Even as you work here, you make your money, you make your $1,000, you make your $3,000, whatever amount that you want to make. Please always remember to invest back at home. You guys have a huge responsibility. Back at home, especially those people who come from Kisii, you know how you guys are called. You're called Umu America, even when you visit, and you enjoy that tag, which of course is the reason why some of you guys get called. Because people think that you flow in cash. They don't know you guys work extremely